Hey guys, we're off to lesson 7 and we're only going to do half of lesson 7 today. So if you kind of take a look in your book, you'll notice that today's lesson is titled Factors and Multiples. But today we're only going to focus on the factors part of this. And so we've been talking a lot about factors. We should know that a factor times a factor equals a product. Okay, that should be kind of sealed into our minds already. We know that. And so whenever we're asked to list factors of a number, that means we're given a product and we need to see what times what is equal to that. And a lot of times, depending on the number though, but a lot of times we can list many factors or numbers that can be multiplied together that equal our product. So this will happen whenever we are maybe arranging something. So let's say I have 16 desks in my classroom. Okay, and so 16 is my big number, and I need to figure out, well, what are some different ways that I can arrange these desks? I have 16 desks. I need to arrange them into some way, shape, or form. And so a lot of times we think about arrays. Arrays are things like where we have columns and rows. Okay, so I could have 2 rows and 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16. Okay, so here I have a 2 by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I did too many. Okay, and so I have a 2 by 8, and 2 times 8 is equal to 16. And so basically what I'm doing is I'm thinking of different arrays that I can create that equal my product. So another one that I could think of is if I had one row, I would have 16 in each row. If I think about, well, I have 1, 2, does 3 go into 16? No, not with the equal amount in each group. But I could do 4 times 4. And so that would be it, because there's no other number between 4 and 4 that I can get to. But this isn't always a great visual. So what we've come up with is something called factor rainbows. But before we get there, I want to define a word. So we have one vocab term, and it is decompose. So what I just did up above is I took 16 and I decomposed it into its factors. Now, when we think about decompose outside of math, we think of like what's happening in fall right now. The leaves are falling, and pretty soon, though, we won't notice that the leaves have fallen because there really won't be a huge amount of leaves left on the ground. Some of that is due to people raking them and either burning them or taking them somewhere, but the other leaves that stayed there, they eventually decompose. They break down and they turn into dirt. And so what we're doing is we're decomposing a number to find its factors. Okay, so decompose literally means to break down. And in this case, we're breaking it down into factors. Okay, so let's kind of get back to what I was talking about with factor rainbows. So again, let's take the number 16, and I'm going to write it in the middle of my paper and still kind of box it so that I know that's my goal. But whenever I list my factors, I'm going to spread them out a little bit more. So I had 1 and 16. Now what's really cool about factors is I can always start out with 1 times that number because I know 1 goes into every single number. And so that's always my starting point. No matter what number is put up here, I could put 405 up here. And you would know 1 and 405 is a factor pair. So always start with that. That's a great starting point so that you know where to go from there. Next up, okay, since 16 is an even number, and let's write this kind of towards the bottom of our page. I'm going to put all the way down here. All even numbers have 2 as a factor. Okay, super duper important. All even numbers have 2 as a factor. What that means is if your number is even, which means you're looking at the ones place and you're saying, is that an even number? Even numbers are 2, 4, 6, 8, and 0 for 10. So when I'm looking in this spot, I see the digit 6. 6 is an even number, so I know 16 as a whole number together is also divisible by 2. So I write my 2 there, but then I come over here by the 16, and 2 times 8 is 16. What this does by doing it this way is I'm putting my factors in number order, so it's a lot easier to list factors if I'm asked to do that. Okay, and then the final one that goes in is 4 times 4. Now 4 and 4 is the same number, so we don't always have to list them twice, but here's why I am going to list it. Because now I can create my factor rainbow. So 1 went with 16, 2 went with 8, and 4 goes with 4. And so what's really cool is by putting them on opposite ends and working my way to the middle, I can see 4 and 4 is here, and no number can fit in between there because 4 and 4 are the same number. So as I get closer in, my numbers are getting closer, and then it helps me to narrow down my choices of factors. That's why factor rainbows really, really help, and they're just really fun to draw. So let's think about another number that we could decompose into factors. Let's do the number, let's see. Let's do the number 12. Lots of factors can go into 12, right? So let's write 12 kind of in the middle. And then we're going to skip just a couple lines. And what are the first factors that I'm going to write down? 1 goes into every number, and 1 times 12 is 12. If we think back to our lesson from a couple days ago, that is a multiplication property. That's the property of the identity property, right? So 1 times 12, now I'm going to put my commas in so that when I'm done, I kind of have a list of numbers. 2, can 2 go into 12? All even numbers have 2 as a factor. Is 12 an even number? It is. So 2 goes in. 2 goes into 12 6 times. 2 times 12 is 6. Can 3 go into 12? Well, by golly, it can, because if I know my 3 song, oh, where is 3, 6, 9, 12? And if you can see, I did 3, 6, 9, 12. So I did 4 times, so that means 3 times 4. Now look at my list. I have 1, 2, 3, 4. No number can fit in between 3 and 4, so I know I'm done. And now I can connect by drawing my rainbow. Now, of course, you are welcome to have some extra fun with this and actually make it look like a rainbow. You don't just have to use one color. So have some fun with your notes today while you're making your factor rainbows. Make it pretty. Let's do one more example. Let's think about the number 30. Let's think about the number 30. So I'm going to move my paper down. Okay, 30 is going to be the last one. So again, I'm going to decompose the number 30 into its factors. What times what equals 30? So first off, it's always going to be 1 in that number. So 1 and 30. Now, 30 ends with 0, so that's the 2, 4, 6, 8, and then 0 for 10. So 2 does go into 30 because 30 is an even number. And so I just have to split 30 in half. What's half of 30? That is 15. Does 3 go into 30? Well, I know 30 ends in a 0, so that means what we're doing is taking 3 times 10. Okay, now I gotta think, can 4 go into 30? 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, 24, 28, 32. Oh, I passed 30, so 4 does not go in, but 5 does, because any number that ends in 0 or 5 has 5 in there. So 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. 5 goes in 6 times. Now looky here. 5 and 6 are right next to each other, so I don't have any more numbers that can fit into there. I know I'm done. Draw my rainbow. 1 and 30, 2 and 15, 3 and 10, 5 and 6. Voila, beautiful rainbow. This is my factor rainbow. What's cool is you can kind of take this and make it into little clouds when you're done. Have some fun with it, guys. And you have some factor rainbows on your worksheet that you need to fill out. So let's hop to it and make sure that you know your songs so that this is quite simple because a lot of times we're just thinking about numbers like 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9 whenever we're figuring out our decomposed factors. So good luck with today's lesson, and let us know if you have any questions.